Depression and anxiety are single-handedly what I get the most emails and messages about from you guys. So today I wanted to talk about it a little more in depth and share my story and kind of updates on my story and just get a conversation going so that we're more comfortable with this topic. I have struggled with depression and anxiety for over 10 years. And what that feels like for me is basically like I feel physically heavy or overweight, especially in the morning, and I just don't want to get out of bed. I am hypercritical of everything and everyone around me. I'm often overwhelmingly sad, and I just have a really hard time being in a good mood. That sounds, I don't know, like depression, I guess, but it's overwhelming. It's as if I'm in a trance that I can't get out of, and it's been like this for a really long time. When depression has been the worst for me has been in my adolescent years, especially my late teen years, when I was still living with my parents or under my parents' authority, even when I wasn't living in their home. I was raised by wonderful parents. I love them very much. But I know that as I was kind of growing into my own self, I have always bucked the system. I've always done things differently. I graduated a year early because I hated high school. I got married very young. I moved 1,000 miles away as soon as I possibly could to go to school. All of these little things in my life have just done so differently than everybody else, and I was never comfortable with that. That's who I was, but I didn't feel right about it, I guess, and I should have, but I had this sense of shame, and it's something that I've carried a lot in my life, and I think it's largely based on the faith that I was raised in, unintentionally, but legalism has just always kind of surrounded me, whether it was someone teaching it to me or just something that I've believed that I needed to follow. A law, rules. I felt like I needed to follow specific rules to be right in life or righteous, when in reality I don't think that I needed to. I think I've often held myself up to an impossibly high standard that when I didn't meet, I felt shame for. And I can point back to that in every area of my life, from when I was a little girl, definitely in my teenage years, and when I was dating, going to school, and all of these different things. I'm kind of running in circles here, but my point is, I tried to live up to an impossibly high standard, and when I didn't, I felt incredible shame, and I think that kind of stirred up depression and anxiety in me. I also feel the most depressed when I am pregnant, ironically. I don't think that I really knew that I struggled with depression until my early 20s. I'm 27 now, and so I've known for probably about 5 years that this has been a struggle for me. But the greatest things that have helped are, one, recovery. I've talked about being in a 12-step program, and I'm not in it anymore, but it was Food Addicts in Recovery Anonymous. I know a lot of you have asked. And also simplicity and just living a simple life. I found a lot of relief in recovery for a couple of reasons. One of them being I had a support system that struggled very similarly to how I struggled, and that was by having a very warped and inappropriate relationship with food. I consumed ungodly amounts of food all of the time, and actually I struggled with binge eating disorder, but the other people in this group also struggled, maybe not with binge eating disorder, but struggled with an inappropriate relationship with food. And I had a support system that was there for me 24/7. I could count on them being at meetings. I could count on them calling me. I could count on them answering when they called. And just having that intense support system did worlds for me when it came to helping me figure out what really triggered my depression and my anxiety, and through living simply, clearing out clutter around me and living by principles that kept me from bringing more in than I needed, that's helped me deal with my heart. I think that we constantly bring things in or consume things to fill a emotional spot inside of us, or emotional needs. And that doesn't work. I mean, when our heart hurts, when we're struggling with the past or fear of the future or what have you, consuming things and I mean anything like that isn't going to heal the pain. I mean, we've got to address the pain. We've got to address that need, that emotional need that needs to be met in other ways. And living simply has allowed me to do that. I've learned a lot of things about my depression and my anxiety, and I'm definitely not over it. I still struggle with it, but a couple of key things have helped me cope with it when I'm in the middle of a depression. One is that my depression isn't as a result of a lack of faith. It's almost even hard for me to say this, especially because of my upbringing and my belief system. I want to believe that I can pray my depression away, but it doesn't work like that. It might for some people, and that is so great. I'm so happy for you, but I have spent years doing that, and I'm thankful for my faith, and I'm thankful for what prayer does, especially putting my heart at ease, but it doesn't take my depression away. I am of the mindset that depression is a largely hormonally based issue. I know it is for me. I've always struggled with I've always had different symptoms of hormone imbalance, one of them being infertility, miscarriage, amenorrhea, a lack of cycles, all sorts of different things like that, and depression falls right in line with that. I cannot choose to be happy in the face of depression. I mean, it completely overtakes me, and I can talk to people about it and I can cope through it, but I can't just choose not to be sad or depressed anymore, any more than I'm able to choose to stop bleeding if I have a wound. It's outside of my control. And knowing that helps because it's no longer a fault of my own that I'm depressed. It's just accepting that it is and making sure that I have support through it so that I can get through without feeling awful, depressed on top of my depression, if you will. And I've learned that I have to be my own advocate. This one is really tough because people don't really understand depression if they haven't been through it or they haven't been intimately involved with somebody who does struggle with depression. So especially when it comes to family, I have to just know my limits and know my boundaries. And those limits and boundaries are very, very small around my family and around in public situations when I'm in a depression. I have to be able to say I've had enough. I have to be able to say I'm at the end of my rope before I've fallen off of the rope, and just kind of stand up for myself. And it's really hard to do that with tact. I am still learning how to do that, and everyone in my family will tell you I don't do that very well. But as I come to terms with the fact that this isn't my fault that I struggle with this, that helps me be nicer to myself. And I am actively pursuing balance, whether it's hormonal or emotional, both with doctors and with therapists. It's very, very slow moving. I think when you don't look like a basket case on the outside, people assume that you're fine. And I've struggled with that roadblock, if you will, when talking especially to doctors. But I'm being more honest and looking in a more, I guess, hormonal route, looking for imbalances and things of that nature to try and find, like I said, more of a balance and to try and eliminate crazy depressions that I go through. My most recent depression was probably when I was pregnant with my daughter. Almost the entire pregnancy, I am just very low and have a very hard time coping. I go through seasons of having, valleys emotionally that aren't as difficult to get through, but they do come, and I'm just trying to get through them. I know that when I'm talking to you guys in these videos, even these videos like this one that don't always totally make sense, you get it. You get what I'm going through, and that is a huge gift for me. So that's all I'm going to share on depression and anxiety today. I just want to say thank you for asking about it and for sharing your stories with me. You guys mean the world to me, and this community is just unlike nothing else. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.